Okay, hello and welcome everybody. We are Moms Stronger Together, and we deliver a weekly or a bi-weekly discussion for you on a relevant topic. Today's topic is joys of newly discovered motherhood. If this is the topic that is of interest for you, we are inviting you to watch this video until the end, and then in order to stay up to date with our other topics, please like this video, subscribe, and click on the bell so that you're always alerted on when the new issues come out. So today we would like to discuss a topic that is very dear to all moms, and it's quite a vast topic, joys of newly discovered motherhood, and it really can go in every direction. So it's all about the experiences of new mothers in terms of living through pregnancy or giving birth or dealing with a newborn and all the different things that come along with it, and taking care of own body before and after birthing, or postpartum depression or breastfeeding, and I mean the list goes on. So I think maybe today we could focus specifically on the one thing that you really didn't expect from motherhood, from the experience of becoming a mother, and that you have not read anywhere, or that you have maybe never heard, or the girlfriends never told you about, and how did you live through this? So if we all share some of these experiences, and see how that goes, and hopefully we're not going to speak all day, but only 1 hour. That would be awesome. And of course, we can always take it further in our next issue. It's not a problem. So I have introduced the topic. Let us also introduce the participants. Sabina, say hi.
Hi everyone. Lovely to see you all today. I'm a mum of a 5-year-old boy, and I started to experience this motherhood since obviously I was pregnant, and it was really a really nice journey for me because I was really expecting this baby, and it was really nice to I would love to share that with you.
Excellent. Alessandra.
Hi everybody, my name is Alessandra. I'm the mom of two beautiful boys. One is 6 years old, just turned last week actually, and the other one is 19 months old. Yes, and as Sabina said, my pregnancies were beautiful, and I'll tell you more about them later on.
Excellent. Nat.
Hello, I'm Natalia. I have a little boy. He's 3.5 now. And just like my dear friends and colleagues and business partners here, I would like to share my experience with being pregnant and with the motherhood, and maybe I also could tell a couple of words of being a geriatric mother. This is what I was called in the hospital because I was 40 years of age when I was pregnant. So that was a quite an exciting, interesting experience. Mm-hmm. So this is what I would like to share with you today.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Veronica.
Hi. For me, motherhood is one of the most essential parts of my life, and I was very aware about my experience, and I wanted to have this experience, and I prepared myself mentally, physically, for all my 3 pregnancies. And it was different with each pregnancy because I had different experiences, or at the beginning no experience, and I will share with you my feelings and what I've learned through this journey. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Veronica. Yes, I'm also a mom of 2. My eldest daughter is 4.5, and my youngest son is 1 and 10, 1 year and 10 months old. And I confirm the general belief that every child is different and every pregnancy is different. And so I had quite different experiences in the two pregnancies, and yeah, I've had the aha moments also through the journeys that I will also share with you later. So, who would like to start? Sabina, would you like to start? Yeah.
Yeah. As I mentioned, my motherhood experience started when I was pregnant with my first, and that's the one. That's the only one that I have. Yeah, my experience was really interesting because I only found out that I pregnant on when I had already 2 months or so of pregnancy.
Yeah.
Even though I was expecting to have a baby, I wasn't really aware that I'm pregnant at that time and place, because I was busy with the work. I remember it was the summer time when I was like too busy with what I was doing. I has the summer camps with the children. I was working in school, so I was just like really too really engage into what I'm doing. And then I had a trip. I remember I had a trip to my sister's place in France when she invited me for a baby shower. Like she had her first daughter, and she organized us a baby shower and christening and this party thing. And I remember that time I was like going there, and I was like feeling really kind of exhausted in a way, like feel that I was traveling by train. I was like, such exhaustion. I thought to myself, I think I just put pressure too much on myself with this, and kind of wasn't aware that I was carrying a baby actually, and through all this period. And even though I was active, I don't know, even though I was exhausted in the same way, I was really active with everything. I was just helping my getting that in France, in Paris, always busy thing. And then my sister even kind of noticed, you just look a bit different. So what's the difference? I said, I don't know, it's just give yourself a break. I think you look just tired. Come on, just sit down. And and I was like, I remember I even have an appetite. Then in France they have this boulangeries and like freshly bred. I was like, oh my god! I was like, just devouring them. Going on with this tasty food. And my sister is just obsessed with food. She was just, when I visit her, she always will have this plenty of food that she prepares beforehand, like dishes, and she will just put on this. Oh my god, I'm just full for choice here. I'm okay, devouring everything. I said, I'm just getting a bit too much. But I say, oh, don't worry, it's just like that. It's just we need just to be kind of aware what we put on, but just enjoy your time. Come on. And having even little shots of drink, when you see sisters, you can imagine. And through this the whole period of time, I was like feeling that exhaustion, and I felt that a bit of morning sickness as well. But I wasn't aware that I pregnant. Because at that time, what happened? Yeah, I've been with my partner, but we agreed that we would need kind of a separate time between each other, because I had too much on my own to deal with. He was always all the time away, and he has some issues to sort in Italy. So he was in Italy at that time. So I was by my own, and just enjoying time in France, which was quite nice, because we have this party after, drinking, and I would just felt that it's different. I felt that I'm different. And then I am coming back to England. I must my voice. Coming back to England in August, I just felt like not right. I started to be very kind of emotional, started being kind of tearful. Spoken to my mom about that, and my sister, and I have an elder sister my country, because I'm from Moldova, and having a talk with her, because she's a doctor, having a talk with her on the phone, talking through these emotions and like morning sickness, and she mentioned, "Are you pregnant?" I said, "No, it can't be. I mean, my partner's away. I mean, it's just the last time we've been together was in June, so it's not kind of, I can't be, you know." And she's like, "Just go and have a check, just get a pregnancy test, because for what you are telling me is just something's going on there, you know." I said, "All right, okay." So I've checked that, and apparently, yeah, it was, you know, I checked it. It's funny though, because I had a pregnancy test in a Tesco, and a big Tesco, and I go to the loo. I didn't just get to the home. I just go to the loo there. And
couldn't wait.
did you see the positive one? I said, "Can't be. No, I need to get another one." I get another one. I think I've just bought at that Tesco, I think three pregnancy tests. So I've gone through the one simple one, and then I get more like, you know, where it goes through when you said how many weeks you have, something like that. It shows you. Said, okay, and it showed me 3+. Said, "No, it can't be. Can't be. I mean, well, maybe it can't be. You know, just kind of realized maybe it can't be." But and then I thought, okay, I'll get the most expensive one to see how many weeks I am. Because that's a bit weird. And then yeah, I've got the most expensive one. I went home and got this test and look at it, and it was like 8 weeks, kind of 8 weeks pregnancy. So I go to myself, this is like weird, because the last time we was in June, and I found it's in August. How could that be, you know? I don't know, maybe. I'm not just questioning myself about it, but I was kind of surprised, shocked, kind of, I really wanted a baby, but it wasn't, I was expecting to have some in a way, but I didn't kind of expect it to have at that moment and that time. That's what I was feeling. And through these feelings and things, and spoke to my sister again, said, "Yeah, you were right. Oh, I told you so," you know, because she feelings. And then yeah, after that, yeah, I wasn't questioning if I'm keeping or not, because I was just, yeah, I'm keeping it because that's it happens. So it's a miracle, because I was trying for quite a long time. I remember that, and now it just happened. It doesn't matter if my partner will agree with this or not. I'm keeping this baby. That's it. And then one night I told him on the phone, and he said, "Really?" And he was like kind of surprised and shocked at the same time. But he said, "Okay, I'll come as soon as I can." And he made himself back in about a week. And yeah, I remember he was discussing about this, and yeah, he said, "Oh, you know, not kind of really prepared for this." I said, "Well, nobody's prepared for this, really." He was telling me, "I'm not really kind of prepared for this, but yeah, if you feel like you want to keep it, then that's fine with me, but we'll see how it goes." And it goes really, really beautiful, because the balm, I was kind of so excited about this. I even put the balloons every month, like I blow the balloon and put a month, you know, a month of the balloon, like drawing the balloon, and put all my kind of, the bedroom was filled with the balloons with the numbers, you know, as to grow the number. I put another balloon, blown up balloon with the confetti, you know, and each time, and then yeah, it was something that for me was a unique experience, and it was something that I will probably remember for my entire life. And probably something that you can't really forget. And the pregnancy itself, I remember I was driving even the car even until the late month, I mean the 8th month, and then on the last month I just calmed myself down, a bit, and I thought that's it. That's the month when I would just want to relax, put my feet up, and take it
Yes.
easy, because my bum really grown really, really big. I mean, it was like enormous. And sometimes I just like felt like, oh my god, where's this coming from? And this growing every month, and it was huge. I know, but for boys, it's just getting so huge.
I know.
I think.
When I was pregnant with my boy, my mom was like asking me, "Are you sure it's not twins?" You know, it's like a big, good, strong boy. Okay, it's not twins.
And he was so active. I mean, the moment I put my feet up or at night, it was like doom, 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 doom. The feet was like, I felt that, like, calm down, please. And I was singing. I remember putting in cassettes, the CDs of the songs, and I was dancing, you know, with this big bag in front. I was dancing, like rocking and dancing and singing him tunes. I think he quite liked that, because I remember he was just keeping silence when I'm dancing or singing, which was nice. So the whole pregnancy went beautifully. I remember before the day I was giving birth, I even went to the beach. I has the beach. I'm quite lucky. Had the beach like 10 minutes away, 10 minutes drive, and I went to the beach and had this walk. It's so nice. I was just thinking, wow, it's amazing. Like, it's an amazing feeling. You're carrying as a human being, you know, you're carrying this life in you, and it's fantastic. It's just, I felt kind of blessed and
totally blessed. I mean, it's not kind of blessed. I think having a child is a blessing.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
it's
sure
a blessing.
we'll agree on this, no?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Sabina. We are very inspired to hear your very positive and surprising, but also very pleasant experience with the pregnancy and becoming a mother. It's amazing. So, who would like to take the turn to share the little little secrets about your experiences?
I can do that if that's okay. I wanted maybe to talk about 3 different things, but really briefly. The first thing for me was that I actually kind of, for a long time, didn't want to have kids. And I think I was influenced by my mother. She had myself when she was really young, you know, and my father was super young. Like, my father was like 19, my mom was 18.
Wow.
And she just entered university. My father was going to the army, you know, in the Soviet Union. All the boys had to go to the army for 2 years. Wow. And I was exactly around this time. And obviously there was no question of, you know, like, yes, of course, you know, we're keeping her, but she was far too young. So she basically, to be able to finish her university degree, she gave me to my grandmother, which was probably the most amazing thing. My grandmother, like, she was like a sun, you know, like a sunshine. Probably the warmest, the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life, you know. And she was so influenced by me. She loved me so much that you won't believe it. 1 year later, she had a child. She was
wow. Amazing.
Yeah. So she was still very young. And my grandfather and my grandmother decided that they wanted to have another child. So you can imagine the age difference between my mom and her younger brothers. So it turned out my uncle was 1 year younger than me. So, but anyway, we were raised together. We were raised like brother and sister. And at the age of 4, then my mom finished her studies. My father was back from the army. And then I had to live with my parents. And I think this is when the disappointment started, because I was spoiled for 4 years of my life, literally. And then my parents, young parents, didn't have any clue whatsoever about the education. I think they were just too strict on me, frankly. But yeah, it doesn't matter. They even tried to put me into the into the nursery that I absolutely didn't like, and I just spent all day just crying at the gate because I wasn't used to it, or things like that. Anyway, so I think I was influenced by that because my mother raised me saying, don't have children, don't have children. And then when I crossed the mark, like when I was 30, then I was 35, and my mom looked at me one day and said, well, when I said don't have children, I meant don't have children too early. I was like, well, now it's too late. Anyway, now we can laugh about it. And then I met my husband many years ago, but then I kind of looked at him and I was just thinking he will be like the most amazing father, honestly. And I just thought, I cannot deny him this experience. This is where I was coming from. And then I was just thinking, yeah, but do you really, want it? And you know what? And somehow I just had this inner dialogue and I said, I think I do. Yeah. And that was really last minute. And I said, well, let me try, 40 is my deadline. If it doesn't happen until then, that's it. I'm not going to do that. And this is what happened. I got pregnant first time and I had a miscarriage. And that absolutely discouraged me from doing it again. I was like, I'm not going to go through this again. That was such a traumatic experience for me up until the point when I shared it with a friend of mine, and then she said, oh, that's common. I had a couple of those too. I was like, what? I thought was something terrible was happening to me, and not even one doctor told me, Natalia, it's common, don't worry, no, they just, they did whatever they had to do. But then, and I was carrying this with me, feeling that I was like a failure. And I was like, what did I do wrong? This is what we tend to do, women, we just like start blaming ourselves for something. And, I was just thinking, I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I'm healthy. And why is that? And the point is, this has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. It's just the nature. This is how the nature intended it. It's just like, it happens quite a lot and it's quite common. And after this conversation with my friend, I was just like, well, so good that I talked to you, because now I feel like I'm not the failure. So it's common. Well, unfortunately, it's common, but it's not something that you should be discouraged from trying again, So I learned my lesson this way. And then I got pregnant. Obviously, I was very, very, not very, let's not say that. I was on alert that it might happen again. Yeah. Especially because I was already 40. Yeah. But then everything went really, really well. I had the most amazing pregnancy, and I was teaching yoga up until I think I was nearly 9 months, until I literally couldn't walk, and I was just like doing things. And this is how amazing it was. I mean, I didn't have any morning sickness, nothing. The only thing I felt like, I was vegetarian for years, and then I started feeling cravings for literally bloody steaks. Like I wanted to eat a bloody steak, like really rare. Where does this come from? I probably needed some vitamins and stuff, and I started eating it. I couldn't stop. This is what I wanted to eat. That was like me. I was so scared of myself that I couldn't do this. So anyway, that was great. So the experience, and this is my third kind of story, the experience of being older mother is quite a funny one. And but there is a thing, in a hospital, they just straight away, they started calling me geriatric mother. And I was like, what? I'm sorry. And they said, yeah, this is your age. I was like, what's wrong with my age? I feel great. I'm healthy. I'm not, I hope I don't have any issues. And the doctor said, no, don't worry about the name. This is just, they just to classify you, basically to qualify you. I said, that's fine, but it just sounds a little silly. And she said, no, but you are high risk, because of your age.
Yeah.
And they explained it to me, what happens to the placenta. So basically, if you are not basically, if you are not giving birth, or if you are not having contractions on the due date or before, it might happen that the placenta just ages so quickly, something might happen to the baby. So really, really simplified, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and geriatric mother also means that they will not let you have birth at home or in the birthing center. So you have to go to a hospital, yeah. But I said, I take my responsibility. I don't want to go to a hospital. You know, I will find a birthing center in a hospital, and if something happens, then the doctors can take over. So we organized everything, and I was just like, yes. I'm just really kind of, I don't like hospitals. I just simply don't like hospitals. And I think for me, that was just like, I just, no way I'm going to a hospital. Everything went wrong, of course. And I ended up in a hospital, you know. But my husband was so amazing. He literally, I think he brought the whole household into this little room just to make it look like home.
No, so sweet.
So sweet.
And there was my music and my own food. I just couldn't eat I actually couldn't eat anything, but he just cooked something, he brought it, you know, and then there were flowers, and there were my whatever oils and stuff. And I was feeling so comfortable. I was like 28 hours into the contractions. I was not even ready. I was just like,
wow.
You know, but I also, maybe just one thing. If those who are watching, you know, mothers, or maybe still kind of mothers to be, I highly recommend to do hypnobirthing preparation, because that was probably the best thing I've ever done. You know, like I wasn't afraid of contractions. I didn't take any painkillers. I didn't have any epidural. I didn't have anything. At the end, I had a little bit gas and air that made me really silly. I started like really making like really silly jokes. I'm still ashamed, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But that was the only thing that I took. But the whole 28 hours, that was just really nice. I was just relaxing. I could get everything I wanted, even though I was in the hospital. But then the doctor said, you know what, that's enough, because you're a geriatric mother, we're going to help you out. I was like, no, I can do it myself. And she said, okay, so show me, can you push? And I was like so tight. I was like, I was pushing and pushing. And she looked at me and was like, no, you're not going to make it.
Convinced.
You know, like, and I was like, okay. And it was Saturday evening. She wanted to go home. I understand. And then within, I'm not kidding you, 10 seconds, she just pushed the button. There were, I think, 5 other doctors and nurses in the room.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And it happened, they broke my water, and it happened within 5 minutes. The baby was out.
Wow.
Yeah. I could not even, I was like, what is happening? And then I looked this way and the baby was out. I was like, okay, thank you so much. But yeah, so
sorry, in the end, you didn't have any painkillers, no peridural, nothing?
No.
They just helped you to get the baby out, but it was still without painkillers.
Yes. Cool. They exactly. So everything went really, actually, of course I wanted to go to a birthing center. Of course I wanted to have a water birth, you know, and all these amazing things. And this is how I imagined it. But they didn't let me. By the time I arrived, somebody was still there, and there were not spaces available. And then it was whatever reason. And then they just put me in a hospital, which at the end was all right. What I'm just trying to say, it's like, also during the pregnancy, the doctors kind of tried to push me to do things I didn't want to. Yeah. Like to do certain kind of tests that, and this is what I recommend for any mother to be: do your research and be really, really confident. And it's okay to say no. I know doctors want to kind of tick a box and say, well, we've done it. But just think to yourself, you know, and reflect, is it really the best for you and for your baby? You know, they had to make certain tests on me because I was geriatric mother, just to check if the baby is all right and doesn't have any, you know, genetic disorders and stuff like that. Yes. And the way to do this, a very old-fashioned way to do this, is to put a really long needle inside take the fluid out, and then check if everything is okay. I said no to that. I'm not going to do that. And the doctor was really upset and said, well, but then so you will be okay if the baby is whatever. I said, well, it is, you know what, the baby is the baby, you know, what is going to be different if I know it now?
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
So this I didn't understand. And on top of that, my husband did a really good research, and he said, look, we can do it. We can have a test, but you just, you can have a blood test. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and then you either go privately. No, at this time, 4 years ago, I only could do it privately. Yeah. And he said, it doesn't matter. It costs like a lot of money, but we just do it because it's important. And I said, okay, let's do that. And then when we mentioned that to the doctor, and you know what happened? That's really, really kind of shocked me. She said, oh, we are running a trial here, the NHS, and we can put you on the list to do that because you're perfect age and actually you qualify for the trial. I was like, this very same doctor, he wanted to put a large needle inside my belly. She herself said, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have this trial. I think I don't mind you putting on the list. I was like,
crazy.
You know, and anyway, they do their job and it's fine. You know, at the end, she actually put me through, and we had this blood test and everything was all right. But I'm just saying that you have the right as a mother not to put yourself under pressure and just say no to things. And to a lot of things I had to say no. I gave birth. I was very lucky on the due date, but the doctor started pressuring me like 2 weeks before. They're like, okay, we have to do an induction. We have to. And I said, no, I'm happy to sign the papers. It's my own responsibility, But I understand why they worry, because at my age, a lot of things can go wrong. A lot of things, and you don't want to be in this situation. So you have to balance it out for yourself, how you feel. And I very strongly kind of listen to my body at all times. And I kind of know when it might go wrong, then of course, then you have to take precautions. But if you feel all right, you can manage it and take decisions that are well researched. Yeah, just honestly talk to somebody or do your own research and just go ahead with that. So that's my experience. And obviously being an older mother requires I think a lot more energy than younger parents, and I think my husband and myself were just noticing that a lot. It's like a lot. If I was 10 years younger, probably I will have a lot more energy at the end of the day. But it's okay. It's all fun. It's amazing. It's the most amazing experience. And I'm so happy that I decided to have a child. Honestly, I'm just like, that's probably the best decision I've ever taken in my life, is to be honest. After marrying my husband, obviously.
Obviously.
And then having a child, because it's just so amazing. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this share, Nat. Actually, what I want to add is that a mother, she, like you said, she needs to listen to herself. And I had a slightly similar experience where I was 100% convinced that everything is going to go right. And on the one hand, the medical staff, they just want to ensure that it goes as smoothly as possible with as little loss as possible, but they cannot feel your conviction and how you feel in your pregnancy, how it is for you. So they just do the maximum they can, but it's up to you to also decide, okay, I know that I need this or I don't need this, and I'm just going to go my way, and maybe later on I'll share my experience where maybe you'll recognize some of the things as well. But what I'm interested in actually is in Veronica's experience, because Veronica, your children are already quite much older than ours, and maybe medicine moved on since those times a little bit. I wonder how it was for you, for your first one, especially.
Thank you, Vi. It is a very important, significant experience in my life, because when I was young, 20 years old, me and my best friend, we were very spiritual and aware about our life and the growth, our spiritual growth. And we had to choose between two paths. One was to dedicate our life only to spiritual growth, which she decided to go. Never marry, just have a brahmachari lifestyle, you know, when you are supposed to live like a monk, yeah. And I was questioning, shall I go that path as well or not? And I was listening to my body, and I had you know, a feeling that I want to experience all levels of emotions and feelings within this instrument, you know, which is my body. And I say, no, I can't live a life in this female body and not experience all these stages and what can we are designed by nature to live, you know, and experience. And I was thinking, okay, to become a mother, I need a man or a father who will deserve to be a father for my future children. And I met this person who was very close to my ideal partner, which I pictured in my mind, very close to that. And I told him openly that I see that you could be a good father for my children. And maybe that was not a good thing to do, because I think that had an impact on his ego or pride, or I don't know, you know.
That's an amazing pickup line.
You think
you could be a good father for my children.
No, but I truly believed that, yeah, I saw that power, force, you know, energy, and his beliefs and values. And I didn't say it in the first day we met. I got to know him first. And he was my first man, which I had an intimate relationship, and the only one in my life. And until now. And I was thinking that all my energy and focus and belief and values and principles must be transferred, or how to say, I have to make all this process very aware. And we both, before making this process of getting pregnant, we were thinking what qualities our child will have. And we were visualizing what soul we are going to attract in this life. And yeah, it was a process. I couldn't get pregnant for 5 months, and I was very worried and concerned. He is 12 years older than me, and I thought maybe he has any healthy issues or not. But in 5 months, it was already springtime, and one of my doctors said, don't worry, because it happens sometimes. In the springtime, it is the best time to get pregnant, you know. And she was even a woman with experience, and the doctor, usually doctors try to push you medicines and tests, but she was more spiritual, you know, and she gave me confidence and peace of mind that everything will be fine, and I should not worry about that, but trust the nature, and that will happen. And yes, it was like she predicted. And yes, it was good. When I became pregnant, I also tried to control my thoughts, my feelings, emotions, and the state of being. And I was meditating and doing mantra meditation. I always tried to repeat a certain mantra, and that gave me more confidence and peace, because I knew I was 23 years old, and you know how our mothers and all society, I don't want to judge or criticize, it is our earth human evolution. We are not taught how to behave, or we didn't have examples of role models of mothers from all the stages, you know, to become a parent. I think we have to educate ourselves, and maybe now we are more aware. We go through that educational process, and we will teach our children how to do that more consciousness, in more conscious way. So because I was not educated and I didn't know how to behave, you know, I used to listen to my intuition, what is the right way to behave, think, believe. And these prayers helped me a lot to trust and to get more in contact with my feelings and intuition about how I should behave and what I have to trust or who I have to listen, what advice shall I accept or not. And it was not ideal because I was learning by my mistakes. And still, I think my each pregnancy was different because I had already a previous experience, and that helped me. Mm-hmm. And yes, I started to read books about that and learn from people who know more on this topic, and that helps as well. So I want to say that as an advice to women who are going through similar feelings and experiences, that the fear which we have, because we have that fear that we are not prepared, we don't know if we will manage to go through this process in the healthiest way. So we have to study. If we have any questions and doubts and we are uncertain on a specific aspect of this experience, we have to learn, especially now. I think there is no limit to access the information we need. And one of the most valuable things is to get in contact with women who already went through this process. Because one thing is to learn and just, you know, absorb information. And another thing is to get in contact with a real mother who had that experience, and he has that power and energy which she can send it to you. You know, it's something like esoterical, but it works. It gives you more confidence, energy, and that feeds your needs. Yeah. And gives you more confidence. Also, I've realized that it's very good to connect with your baby, yeah. And through this meditation, just try to get into contact with that soul and make, you know, like a dialogue, or talk loud, put the music, you know, mantras or classical music, which I used to do, or nature. Go very often in nature, it helps very much. And I was doing physical work during my pregnancies without feeling that I'm a sick person. It is not like that. We have to behave and do physical exercises in order to maintain our body during this period. And have very good understanding about ourselves, and learn to listen to what is happening, how do we feel. Mm-hmm. And what is also important is your relationship with your partner. It is crucial, yes, because it determines your state of your thoughts, your confidence, your peace, because you are connected with this soul, and what you are thinking and experiencing on an emotional level, that will be absorbed by your child. And it has a tremendous impact in their future life. I know, because I have 3 children, and I was in different states with all of them, because my relationship had an evolution, and at different stages it was different. And I can see now the results of all that impact on my children's development, psychological development. So if you want to give birth to a healthy, self-sufficient person, that is very important to not to ignore that and feel that if I will be depressed and pregnant, that will be fine. It is not like that. It's very important. How do you see yourself and take responsibility of that? And also the impact of other people as doctors, friends, relatives, who gives you a lot of advice from their experience, which is not the best. If you have a good example or a person who you know and trust and believe that this woman has already experience which I can learn from, then do that. But if you get advice from a person who is not so successful, let's say, then that may mislead you.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually, Veronica, I just want to add to this because sometimes people say, you know, just read on the internet or talk with your doctor, or, you know, and so there is so much information out there these days that I feel that sometimes you get even contradicting things, you know, and you don't know what to do. And I've caught myself so many times, especially when my first baby was born. What do I do? Do I, you know, do I breastfeed like this or like that? Do I do this like this or like that? And in the end, what matters most really is, as you just said earlier, just listen to yourself, you know, listen to yourself and feel how this feels right or wrong, and then just do it. Because the baby, especially small babies, are very connected to their mothers. And so if the mother feels good about doing this way or that way, then it's probably the best for the child. And this is in the end what, you know, first drove me nuts. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to do how I feel is right, and that's it, and I'll calm down. And it matters for small things as much as for big things, you know. And also, you know, not trying to kind of please your mother because your mother tells you this way, or, you know, follow your, for example, priest if you go to the church, you know, because he said so. But really, you know, find one person who can give you guidance and you can always rely day, night, and Sunday. And then just follow, because this gives you kind of peace of mind that, you know, you have your one source of recommendation, and if that fails, you just follow your heart, basta. And then I think that just settles everything so smoothly, you know. So I fully agree with you. Sorry for interruption.
Don't be sorry. Thank you. You completed perfectly what is the message actually, and women must trust themselves, as you say. So I don't know what to add more to that. That was the main message I wanted to spot there.
Already a lot of messages.
You can just make researches and be open-minded and trust and relax. You know what? Because we were so distant from nature, we lost that trust in ourselves, that our bodies is functioning perfectly and we are designed by God to do that.
Yeah.
It's just not to make that mental intervention and too much thinking and what is right and what is wrong. We have to trust our bodies and everything will be fine.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Veronica.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Alessandra, what is it like to be a mom of two boys?
Well, first of all, I agree with everything that you girls have said. That is very interesting insights from point of view that I've never experienced in my own life. But from my own experience, what I can tell you is that my two pregnancies have been very, very different one from the other. The first one, my first son was born 6 years ago, and let's say I wasn't quite ready for it. It kind of happened all of a sudden, and it was beautiful, but I was also really scared and really shocked because I didn't expect it to happen, and also the fact that didn't really help is that at the beginning of my first pregnancy I had some complications, and so that made me worry a lot about a lot of things. I was questioning myself, like Nat said earlier. I was thinking, am I doing something wrong? Is there something wrong with me? Is this going to go ahead? What is going to happen? I was so scared and so worried. And I remember I was looking at other moms that had newborn babies, and I was hoping and wishing that one day I would be able to, to be that mom as well. And my back then boyfriend, now husband, was telling me, just relax, just take it easy. You're gonna be a perfect mom. It's gonna be lovely. You're gonna be absolutely fine. And that really helped me calm down a little bit. So at the beginning of my first pregnancy was really hard. And then after the first, and I didn't tell anybody. I was so scared, so terrified. After the first 3 months, then when things started settling down a little bit, I was a little bit more relaxed, and I could actually concentrate a little bit more on myself, or on my own mental health being, and preparing for this baby, and making sure that I was as ready as I could possibly be to welcome him in the world, and make sure that I was a relaxed mom, a happy mom, not worried and terrified about things. Also, in bracket, I was really terrified because I've never really handled babies before. I never had, the youngest cousin or the young friends, the wee babies. No, nothing like that in my life. So I wasn't. Me and brother were the youngest of all of our cousins. So we didn't have anyone below us. There could be like a little toy, like a little baby to play with. I didn't have any of that. So I thought, great, my first experience with a baby is going to be my own son. So, I was scared. I was terrified of dropping him, absolutely terrified of dropping him. I thought, I'm going to drop him and it's going to be terrible. But then I thought, no, everything will be fine. Everything will be okay. And then, yeah, as I was saying, the rest of the pregnancy went really well. I started meditating. I've done this course, and it really, really helped. So both me and my husband were doing meditation, and it was beautiful. Then the baby didn't turn up on his due date. Obviously, they like doing, a lot of them like
The
to do that.
majority, yeah.
Yeah, and he was 12 days late.
Oh,
So that, yeah,
wow.
12 days. So for 12 days, my friends and family from Italy were like, "Is he here yet? Is he born? Is he born?" And
What a pressure.
oh my God! And even my dad came from Italy. It's actually really funny because the baby was due on the 14th of April it was, and I booked the flights for my dad, and I thought I'm gonna book it 2 weeks before, just in case the baby's early. So at the beginning of April he was here. My dad was here, not the baby. My dad was here. And then I thought, and then I'm gonna do until 2 weeks after the due date, so you can enjoy time with the baby and stuff. But obviously, the baby was 12 days late. So he was actually born. My dad had 2 days with him, and then he had to fly back home.
Oh.
So it wasn't very nice. Blessing for him, because he was here for 4 weeks with me and my husband, and like, yeah, okay, and nothing was happening.
But supporting you, I mean, that's quite important.
Yeah, but he was really eager to meet his first grandson, and then it wasn't happening. But the beautiful thing about my son being born, my cry in brackets, that he was actually born the same day of my mum, and
Oh, wow.
my mum passed away, and so he was born the same day of her. So that, being 12 days late, kind of makes me think that his was kind of
Continuity.
how it's meant to be,
Mhm.
and that always makes me smile, and there's a beautiful thing. The birth itself, on the other hand, was a bit of an interesting situation. Let's say, it was quite long, and I was induced, obviously, because I was 12 days late. And being induced is a bit of an interesting one, because, well, in my case, nothing happened when I got first induced. For people that don't know, basically inducing means making your contraction come on, maybe even when they're not supposed to, because after your due date, after 12 days, after your due date, the baby needs to be born, like Nat was saying earlier. the placenta might start misbehaving, let's say, and then might have some impact on the baby. So after 12 days, if the baby is not born on his own, they like to help you start your contraction with a little thing that they insert inside your those starts. It releases hormones and it starts the contractions. So after I had that procedure done in the hospital, nothing happened, and for a couple of hours, for quite a while, and then all of a sudden the strongest contractions you could possibly think started, and I wasn't ready for that. I was so terrified, I was so scared, and I was in hospital, but I was in the middle of the night, so my husband wasn't there because he had to go home, and I was really scared, and I remember the pain was excruciating, was really bad, but this strength that was happening, all these changes was happening and were happening, and I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. Then after a little bit, then my husband was called in, and he came, and it was a bit better, a bit more relaxing, going through um, the stages with him. It really helped, really make me calm me and relax me, and it was good. And it was so funny. The doctors made me try to do so many things that they said, let's go and have a bath. I'm like, I don't want to have a bath. I had a really bad back, so the bath really didn't help, and I'm like, this is really not helping. Stop doing these things to me. But bless them, they were trying to help. They were doing all of the things that normally help people. I wanted to have a water birth, but I wasn't allowed that one. I don't remember why, but maybe because I was induced. But anyway, I wasn't allowed that. And the, the one of the worst thing I remember is that I was laying on my back, and now I've learned on my second um what do you call it, on my second pregnancy and my second time of giving birth, that actually squatting is one of the best position that you could possibly be on, because laying down really doesn't help your back, but just standing up, it really helps. The gravity kind of helps you. That's a big job for you. So with the first pregnancy, I was flat and laid down the whole time, and it was really painful. But anyway, at the end of the day, the baby was born. We were all happy. We were all healthy. I still had to go through a bit of a faff, because then my placenta decided not to come out with the baby. So after the baby was born, I was rushed into the operating room, and it's really annoying because baby was born without any intervention. Basically was born on his own and stuff, so I didn't need an epidural, and everything was fine. And yet after he was born, I had to have an epidural in order for them to remove the placenta. It was really annoying, but that's we laugh now, but women used to die because of that back in the days, when the placenta didn't come out on his own. So I'm very grateful that I'm healthy, my baby's healthy, and everything went well. And then with the second pregnancy, 19 months ago, everything was different, because I think I changed as a person myself. I grew a lot. I was feeling more secure, more secure as a mum. More self-aware of myself and of my powers, let's say, and as a woman, I knew I could do it, and I knew a lot more about myself, and I was feeling much more relaxed. So the second pregnancy, where didn't have any issues, anything at all. The baby was born actually a little bit earlier this time. It was 2 days early. My dad didn't come this time. He didn't. It was no, I'm not coming this time. No, he's not really in the mood for traveling anymore. He says he's getting a bit old, but he's not old. But anyway, he didn't come this time. Baby was born fine. Again, he didn't need any physical help from any epidural, anything. He was born nice and quick, and I was, as I said earlier, I was just feeling much more relaxed, and I think that really helps, with the baby as well. If the mom is calm, the baby's calm. If the mom can connect with herself and with the knowledge of what can she offer to the baby, what does the baby need, whatever the baby needs, she has it already, is within us. We're not in contact with these parts of ourselves because we've never been mums before, and the first time we're mums, it's the first time we do it. But if we are able to connect with ourselves, we can we can really offer this baby everything that he could possibly need. And if you are worried, especially for little tips for new mums, as the other girls were saying, get in touch and ask friends and family that you trust, not anyone, but probably someone that you have a really special bond with. For example, I didn't have anyone to ask because, as I said, I don't have my mum anymore. But I have my best friend, and she was a mum just before me, a couple of months before me, and we have a we've been knowing each other since we were 4 years old, so we have a
Wow.
really beautiful bond. And she showed me so many things. And she lives in Italy, and I live in the UK, so it was a kind of long distance relationship in helping me with motherhood. But she really helped, and I took her advice, and because I knew that what she was saying really resonated with me, and the way that I am, and the way she believes what I believe. And her help really was a great, her support really helped me. And then I was taking things that she was saying, and I was applying it to my own life. How can I apply this to my baby? How can I do this in my own life? And in that way I was creating habits that were perfect for me and for my own baby. So you get the knowledge, and then you apply to your own life, to make sure that whatever you're learning actually benefits you and your baby. So yeah, that's
Amazing,
my
Alessandra.
experience.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing this.
You're
And
welcome.
how do the babies get along?
Sorry?
Do your two sons get along?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. Yeah, they do. The little one obviously wants what his big brother is having, and it's like, I don't want to give it to you. Like, give it to him. So everything. I don't know when this is gonna stop. When the little one is gonna stop winning everything, because
Veronica, when
there
is it
must
going
come a
to
time,
tell us?
and the little one can't have what he wants every single time. But,
No, exactly. Yeah.
we will cross the bridge when we get there.
I have exactly the same experience because my kids are similar age with a similar age difference. So it's, oh my God, you don't know whom to defend. The little one because he's little, or the
Yeah,
eldest one because he took it first. Like, oh, come on.
I know.
Oh well. Well, thank you, Alessandra. So you also have some, useful tips for our viewers, which is amazing. Um, I maybe wanted to also build up on what you girls have been sharing, because I feel I have echoed a little bit of each of you. It's funny, so it means that probably our viewers can also echo with our stories. Um, I wanted to be a mother since I'm 20, and I remember this longing. I really wanted to be a mom. I'm a single child to a family of, let's call them intellectuals, very educated people, scientific kind of background, zero spirituality or religiousness, nothing. So, very like, you have to have education, you have to have a job, you have to earn your own money, so that kind of story. And then me completely in a different direction, like, spending half of my life trying to understand who am I and what I want to do, which is a different story. But I knew I always wanted to be a mom, but I didn't want to be a mom with just anyone. I'm very picky, in that way. I just want to have a good man, like, you could be a good father, right, for my kids.
Did you use the same pickup line as Veronica?
No, I was very prudent because I'm also an introvert, but I decided to be very prudent and not speak the words, but behave in a way that would probably give an idea. Anyway, and truth be told, what happened once, sometimes you have to pass through a way of discovery before understanding what you want in life. And I spent a few years with someone who was not destined to be my man, but by the virtue of destiny, we spent a few years together, and I felt pregnant when we were together, and I couldn't keep the child because on my 7th week of pregnancy, what that I later discovered, I caught rubella. And when I had my test of 3 months, they do the blood test of 3 months pregnancy. The doctor called me quickly in the office, and she said, it was a Monday, I remember. She said, when do you finish work? She called me. I was like, this never happened in my life. And I said, 6:30. She's like, okay, 7 o'clock, you're in my office. And I thought, well, that's unusual. And so I come, and she breaks the news, you are developing antibodies for rubella. You have to get rid of the baby. And this was horrible. This was really horrible. So Nat, you know, I mean, it was not a miscarriage, but I had to spend another month basically being contacted by the uh, what is it, like a university that is specializing in medical research, trying to tell me, you know, every time they called me, they would kind of increase the level of risk that I'm having, you know. So the last time that I spoke with them, they said, you know, your risk of having a trouble is like 90%, you know, and if it's not with a baby, it might be also with me. I might, you know, even die, you know, if something goes wrong. If, for example, I have a miscarriage at a late stage. So I was like, I don't know. I didn't want to give up on the baby because for once I was becoming a mother, but there's this bad circumstance, and so in the end, I was 14 weeks pregnant, and I had to go through a very, very traumatic experience of abortion, which,
Yeah.
you know, since I was born, I was like, I will never abort a child. I will never abort a child. And of course, this, because I was so against it, of course, I attracted it into my life. You know how this universe works. It's amazing. So this was like a lesson to learn. It's difficult. It's a difficult lesson. And so after that, you know, I was immediately like, we need to conceive another child, because and then I was told, don't try to fill the void of one kind of miscarriage with another baby. It's not a, you know, it's not a dress. It's a completely different story. And then it just didn't work out, and that relationship fell apart. Thankfully, really thankfully, it's better for both of us that it fell apart. And I finally managed to get together with a man that I actually was dreaming about, who could become a very good father for my kids, you know. And we couldn't. The story of us getting together is very complicated. Not for this story, not for today. But the day my father gave us a blessing, without even meeting the guy, you know, my father said, Victoria, what are you waiting for? You know, it's you don't, you know, you're 36, 37 years old. You don't have much time left, you know. So I was like, okay. I came home and I said to my husband, to me, I said, my father gave a blessing, and we conceived, and you know, and I just fell pregnant. It was basically, you know. And as girls from my hometown, they joke, you know, sometimes you only have to be looked at to fall pregnant. So I felt like I was waiting for too long. I just fell pregnant, you know. And I'm moved now, so I'm sorry. uh, and yeah, I had a friend. Still have a very, very good friend. We are more or less the same age. I think she's 2 years older, who's a mom of 3 girls. And she inspired me so much, and I spend a lot of time in her space, that I think, you know, being, as we were discussing earlier, you know, being in the space of someone who can be like your guide or your mentor, you know, can help you a lot in achieving the same kind of result. So I fully agree, you know, if you want to fall pregnant but you are not managing, if you want to marry but you don't know how to find a good man, you know, spend the time with these people who have succeeded, you know, and try to serve them in different ways, you know, help them, or you know, share their burdens, or spend some time with them to entertain them, or just, you know, just have a very beautiful friendship, and it's just going to make wonders. And so this girl, she gave birth to all her children at home. So I was like, oh, I want to give birth at home. But, you know, I'm the kind of very private person somehow. So I don't, you know, um, I didn't even like to go to the gynecologist. So imagine, I think in the last 15 years, I've been to the gynecologist, I think twice. Not very good advice for girls, but, you know, when I was pregnant, I was like, oh, okay, so I will ask a colleague for a contact of a gynecologist. Didn't think much about it. And I went to that guy. Already it's a man, so you know, for me, gynecologist man, it doesn't sound right. So I come in, and this guy kind of has this sometimes I have the same feeling with dentists. You know, you come and you feel like you're in a spaceship. You know, it's so like fully equipped with all kinds of stuff that you don't even understand what it is. You know, and he starts examining you like a microbe under a microscope. You know, and then he tells you, you know, this and this. I just came to test to confirm my pregnancy. He was already listening to the heartbeat of my baby. I was like, what? You know, like, are you intruding, or did you even ask if I wanted this? You know, this was too much for me. And then in the end, he said, so do you have questions? And I said, well, it was my first pregnancy. I didn't have any questions. I didn't know what I was supposed to be thinking about. And he said, don't worry, you'll have more questions. And in the meantime, you go and, do the blood test and bring me the results. And then I was like, yes, actually, I have one question. I would like to give birth at home. And this was like a litmus test, and he was like, are you crazy? It's like crossing the street blindfolded. And I'm like, I don't think so. Because so many women until 50 years ago just did it like this all the time. And, we survived as a human race. So, like, hello. So he was absolutely mad with me. He was absolutely upset with me. And I walked out on my way to the lab where I could do the blood test. And I'm like, I don't want him to see my blood test results. I don't want to have anything in common with this guy. And I walked to the entrance of the lab, and I walked away. And then I'm like, but I have to advance. I'm already 6 weeks pregnant. I have to advance it. So I walk back, and I'm like, I can't. So I didn't go. And I canceled the visit to this gynecologist. And basically, this was not my thing. And I'm so glad that I didn't go and follow up with this guy, because then I basically learned that there are maternity, what is it called?
Birthing centers.
Birthing
They're
centers?
called in the UK, yeah.
Yeah, birthing centers, where you can give birth naturally with only midwives assisting, but no gynecologist. And I was like, this is what I want, because already the first child in Belgium, you cannot give birth at home. You can, or in the French-speaking part of Belgium, you cannot give birth at home for the first child. In the Flemish-speaking part, you can, but at the time I was still registered in Brussels, which is French-speaking. So anyway, complications of the local country. and this was the best thing of all worlds, I think. So I was followed up by midwives who are, paying attention to you as a human, rather than you as a client, as a number, as someone who has to give birth within the next half an hour when the time comes, And this just made a huge difference for me. So, and my pregnancy went very nice. It was smooth most of the time. And I gave birth 2 days after my due date. So it was fine. And then for the second child, I knew that I wanted the same midwife. And that specific midwife went on vacation the day I was giving birth, so it was a different midwife. And then both of my kids were born on Sunday. So on Sunday, the birthing centers are not functioning full time. So they're cooperating with a hospital where the hospital takes charge. And when you are in active kind of birthing with very strong contractions, then they call your midwife, and she only comes for birthing. And for the second child, I basically gave birth in a waiting room, because they said, she said, I know it's only in French, I don't know in English. The birthing canal ends with the thing that opens 10 centimeters. What is it called?
Cervix.
Cervix. Yeah. Your cervix is very strong and very good. And I'm like, and what does it mean for my birthing? What does it mean for me, And basically, because I was opening very slowly, or slowly for them, for me was like very fast. They just kept telling the midwife who was supposed to give birth or receive my child that, she's only 2 centimeters opening. So, you can take your time. And the thing is, they just put me in the waiting room. There was a bed and a toilet, And my husband also, he was by my side all the time, and he wanted me to, to not starve. So he brought me some food, some eclair, like pastry. And I was like, I already had contractions, so I was already like, every contraction was coming. I was like, oh, I'm going to wait until it's gone to eat, which was not a good idea, because then I vomited everything. Like, and the contractions, by the way, for those who don't know, the contractions augment after you vomit. Okay, so do not wait much longer, because then it just goes like this. And within that time, in 1 hour and a half, I was already with my child. And then my baby was on my chest, when the midwife who was supposed to receive the baby was there, and she was like, Victoria, what happened? And I was so exhausted. I was like, where were you? So I was lucky in the sense that both of my kids were born naturally, because that was what I wanted. And as I was in the hospital waiting for the right midwife to come, gynecologist came to check how it was, and then she was kind of threatening me. She said, if by 3 o'clock, you are not giving birth, we are going to induce you. I'm like, we'll see who's going to induce whom. I was like, you are not touching me. It was really funny. So it was but I had a slight complication because on my 7th month of pregnancy, I had a small accident with my back. And so I had the fifth lumbar vertebrae coming out of the place. And so the last 2 months of pregnancy I spent with a lot of pain. So actually birthing was more difficult for that. He was going out very fast, but with a huge pain, but I couldn't move because it was so painful that I could only lie on my side, and I just gave birth lying on my side, And my first baby came out in the water. I was in the bubble bath. It was amazing, with essential oils and beautiful music and relaxing, stimulating tea, and everything was done in the right way in the birthing center, But when you're in the waiting room, you just grab the hand of your husband and you're like, this is very strong, I can't breathe, And then the baby goes out like this, and then everything else is as usual. With the placenta, actually, I had no problem with the placenta either time, so I have no idea what it's like. So yeah, I think if there is one thing I can add to my story is my husband comes from a different religious background. So he's from Africa, and he's from the Muslim side of Africa. His traditions for baby birthing is completely different. Man walks away and leaves a woman, surrounded by other midwives and women, experienced people, to give birth. And he is in a completely different context, because here my parents are away, his parents are away. We don't have any kind of traditions like this, and I don't have any women who could be allowed in the birthing room with me, So moreover, the birthing center insisted on the big role of the father in the birthing, and so he had to be present, which I was very happy about. So during the first pregnancy, I was kind of trying to involve him, and in the beginning he was very reluctant, but the truth is, when he was present during the birthing of the first child, he was so grateful, because this is a unique experience to have this miracle happening. There is a baby coming out from the body of my woman. This is something special. That he was so happy that with the second pregnancy he was even more attentive and careful and kind of caring for me. So in that sense, again, this was really a blessing and very nice. And his support, in the absence of the support of anyone else, was really crucial. I don't think I would be able to give birth either time without peridural, without stimulants and I don't know what, either time, if you wouldn't be there. So if the husband for whatever reason cannot be there, you have to have a very kind of trusted person by your side. You really need to have someone to hold your hand and whisper in your ear, you're doing great, you're advancing well, you're a hero, you're doing well, because otherwise you're just like, give me this peridural, I can't stand it anymore. There is a moment where you crack. And then when I was giving birth the second time, it was so painful, and because it was so fast, and the lady was like, I'm telling the midwife on guard, I tell her, can you do something? I want to relieve my pain. Can you please do something? She's like, you came to give birth naturally. Do you really want a peridural? I'm like, well, make a bath. I mean, last time I gave birth in the bath. Can you please? And she's like, you know what? I don't think the bath is going to, have enough time to fill by the time you give birth. So just do it. I was like, this is crazy. I mean, this is what's called midwifery, So if my husband wouldn't be there, I think I don't know what would happen. Something would explode. So, okay, we've had a huge amount of different experiences covered, and I took some notes. So to sum up, I think for our viewers, who want to have, a jazzed up version of our discussions,
It's not like that.
it can happen in a planned way or unexpected, and when it's unexpected, it can be scary or feeling of the unknown can overwhelm us, so it can be overwhelming as well. And the key here is to find a good advisor, a person who can counsel you on a daily basis if necessary, and who guide you through and show you the example, the good example of how to do things, a person you can rely on and trust. And then this will help to go through the experience very, very well. We should also learn during the pregnancy, we should read the books we think are according to our beliefs, that will help us to gain the knowledge on what to expect and how to pass through each aspect of pregnancy and beyond. We should also try to do hypnonaissance, not what
hypnotherapy.
Hypnotherapy, yes, and meditate to connect with the baby, because the more we meditate, the more we come back to our inner self and we connect with the child, and that brings a better connection and more peace within, and therefore reassures and ensures a better quality pregnancy, which is of course good for you. On that note, I want to mention the book from Deepak Chopra. I unfortunately forgot the name of the book. It's for pregnancy women, and I followed it both times, and it's just amazing. It gives you tons of beautiful advice. I'll refer to it. We will put it in the notes after. And we should not listen to everyone and anyone to please these people just because they're our mothers or our sisters or whoever. We should listen to ourselves, because in the end of the day, we are the ones who become mothers, and we know how we feel. And the moment we are peaceful and happy, we know that what is good for us is good for the child. And if the worst comes to the worst, we should of course rely on we should rely on the medicine to help us with the difficult situations, and not go through risk of losing a child or undermining our health when the birthing happens. Did I wrap it up well? Do you have anything to add? No.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's I think you did it very well. In a nutshell, I think this is what we've discussed, and as I understand, we will continue.
I think we could easily continue, because it's a huge topic for many sessions.
It's the episode 1 for our series, so that's a huge topic anyway. So we'll cover.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you.
So I would also like to thank everyone, and to invite our viewers to leave the comments below and share your experiences as moms, or your fears or expectations or doubts as moms to be. And please don't forget to like the video, to subscribe to our channel, and to click on the bell, so that you are always informed about all the next episodes of these discussions.
Perfect.
Have a very good day.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
From
Bye.
Strong Together.